There are a million podcasts you could be listening to right now. So why jump into this one? Well, these conversations are meant to help you go a little bit deeper and help us as we begin to wrestle with the text before us that we preach on. So if you're looking for a place where you can gain some spirituality, some connection, and maybe some gems, stick around for our dialogue. Welcome to Past the Pulpit, where we dive in beyond the sermon to look at life, love, faith, and community. Each week we ask of the preaching text, what hopes, challenges, and passions lie at the heart of the sermon? Welcome to episode 1. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Hey. Hey, there we all are. Okay, good. In person today, we've got our pastoral team, Pastor Elizabeth McDonald.
Hello.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey.
Thanks for being on here. Elizabeth, what is your role at Lasso University Church?
I have the joy of working with children and families. So I get to hang out with the kids and just have so much fun with them.
And how long have you been a part of this team now?
It'll be 2 years in October here in 2024. Yeah.
Get it. Very good. Very good. And to my right, we are blessed to have Pastor Raywin Orlich. Hey, Raywin.
Hi.
Hey. How are things?
Very well.
Okay. And what is your role here in this community?
So I have the joy of focusing on discipleship and nurture. So I think about how can we help people grow in their walk with God, and how can we help them connect deeper into this community. And it's a joy to get to do that. I help navigate our Sabbath school classes, life groups, our volunteers to get plugged into different areas. Enjoy having Bible studies, baptismal studies with people becoming part of the community, just to name a few of the things.
Oh, man, it's a busy life around here, isn't it? Well, it's good to have you. And to your right, Boricua, Pastor Otis Kutsumpo. Sorry, I was a little bit excited. Sorry.
It sounded good.
Hey, Pastor Otis, it's good to have you on here with us. Tell us a little bit about your role here at the community.
Community engagement. So I help to oversee the ministries that we offer for free to the community in terms of some of the basic needs that people have, food and clothing. And we try to get our church members involved in providing those services and also connecting La Sierra with other organizations in the community that are already helping.
Oh, what a big work. What a major work, my friend. It's good to have you on here with us. And then to your right, Pastor Ben Amoa II. Hey, Ben, how you going?
I'm good.
PB, tell us a little bit about yourself or what role you play in this community.
Yeah, I am the pastor of the youth. I get the pleasure of doing life with the best kids of Riverside County. And, I get to just walk with them and see them grow and learn about how their story intersects with Jesus. And so that's what I get to do here.
Thank you for all the good work you do, all of you. So this is it's not a complex community, but because there are so many different things happening all the time, and having to minister as a church between two campuses, being on the university campus, being in the academy, being in our community, having community engagement projects, there's always so much lifting around here that each one of these pastors bring quality and value to everything we do. Not only that, but there's a sense of diversity around our table that pours in not just to the life of the church, but as well as to our pulpit, in the way that we think, in the way that we process. And on a weekly basis when we get together, we talk about these things. We talk about the text, and it came up a couple months ago. We really should start a podcast where we share with others how we begin the process of looking at the word and the text. Just to kick off here, I want to ask a few questions, and it needs to be verbal for those of who are just listening audibly here, so you can kind of get a feel for all of us, right? Okay, how many females do we have on our table right here? Okay, there's a showing of one hand. There's two.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. How many of you are Gen Zers? Any Gen Zers here?
So I'm technically a zillennial, which is like, millennial. So, Gen Zer, a little bit of both.
A little bit of each.
So
okay.
I'm like on the edge.
Wow, that's amazing to me. That's amazing. And then millennial. Millennial? We got a
I'm
millennial?
on the edge. I'm on the far edge, and I think Pastor Ben's on the other edge of the millennials.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
share the spectrum of the millennial.
And then Gen Xers.
Yeah, I'm proud to be a Gen Xer, but I also don't care, and I don't want to be labeled.
You got the hipster.
Fair. You got a hipster, yeah.
I like that.
The other two gentlemen are also Gen Xers, and that is not to disqualify anyone above the Gen X. Obviously, we've got many of our leaders here who are part of the Boomers and the greatest generation. They're all here among us in one way or
Yeah,
another.
what are you, Pastor Ricky?
I'm a millennial. I'm a zillennial, like Pastor Elizabeth. You know, us young people.
Millennial?
Is
Hold
that what
on.
they call it? I disqualified myself with that, didn't I?
There's also the silent generation.
Yes,
silent
thank you for
generation.
mentioning
Between
that.
boomers and the greatest.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. No, I'm not in the.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Not
I
in the
didn't
silent
actually,
generation. For those who are listening, Pastor Ben was pointing at me. That's an untruth. That is an untruth. Anyone here working on doctoral work? Any doctoral workers here?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Pastor Otis. Yeah, he's doing his defense right now. Oh, no, I'm sorry, dissertation.
Yeah,
He's doing his
I'm
dissertation
supposed
work.
to be writing my dissertation right now, but I'm here with you instead.
Could be anywhere else in the world.
You're welcome. This is the quality that we bring you.
Yeah.
The sacrifice. Thank you, Pastor Otis. Anyone here
Oh.
on a master's or more?
What are you going to share your doctoral work?
I am also working on a doctoral thing that is going very steady and painful, but it's going well. And mine is a doctoral ministry, which is a professional doctorate. And Otis, you're actually working on a PhD, which is an academic degree, right?
Yeah, I like the philosophy side of what I'm trying to do.
What is it on?
It's not a quick answer.
I know it's so isn't.
It's I'm studying the philosophy of religious language, and I'm specifically looking at the language of prayer, the language used
Language
in
of
prayer.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, I just want to say, Pastor Otis, you prayed this last Sabbath, and I really appreciated the intentionality of your
So
prayer.
good.
Thank you for not only studying it, but living it out and being
That's right.
intentional about it.
Yeah.
I also have to add,
Thank
Pastor
you.
Otis goes to school with some of the coolest people. We went to this art gallery way back. What was the name of that?
Yeah, Kang Nugent.
That was like the sweetest, coolest. I felt like I was with all the elites of thought.
Yeah, I go to school with some with rabbis, with artists, with
Oh.
That's
all kinds
amazing.
of different people that are pursuing a doctoral degree while doing something else in their career. It's very interesting. I'm at Claremont Graduate University, great school. If anybody ever wants to go there,
I like that
Shout
little plug there.
out.
Shout out, Claremont sponsor.
maybe we should cut that.
Yeah.
Everyone accept my application, please.
since we're kind of on the topic of
Since we're
Pastor
on the
Otis.
campus of La Sierra University,
Yeah, that's right.
maybe
That's
we'll
right.
cut that.
No
part,
hate, no
please.
hate. How many here have a master's or more than one or more? All right.
Yep, still.
Yep. There's
Also,
three of us. If Pastor Steve was with today, he's got like 17 masters for no reason. He's just the most mastered person I know. Ethnicities. Can we go around real quick and just share your ethnicity?
I am African Canadian,
Yep.
family from Ghana, and yeah, but I live here in the United States. That's not my ethnicity. yes, African Canadian. Yeah.
my dad is half Greek, half Panamanian. My mom is half Dominican, half Puerto Rican. I grew up in Costa Rica, Chile, and England before coming back to the States.
Like,
So my ethnicity is earthling. A little bit of everything.
I like that.
So I was born in South Africa, and my ancestry before that is mostly like English and Dutch, basically, with a little American in there from that came to South Africa, and then I came to the U.S. When I was 6, and so I have a diverse experience within me of being here and born there and being from families of immigrants in different directions.
Nice. I'm Tongan. I'm done.
All right. My family heritage, as at least the blood test showed, I'm Scottish and Irish, but I'm born in Portland, Oregon, and that's it. Yeah.
So, Pastor Divolt is from South Africa, so he's South African, and then Pastor Steve is from Three Rivers, Michigan, so he's
Michigan boy.
he's white. That's the makeup of our team, and as far as ethnicity is concerned, how many of you grew up in urban spaces? I did.
Me, yeah.
Okay,
Partially.
Yeah.
mostly, yeah, and then partially you,
Yeah,
Otis.
sometimes.
And what about rural spaces? I guess rural. Is
I
it?
grew up in the country.
in the country.
Yeah.
Steve grew up next to
Also
Three Rivers.
partially.
Also partially. Okay. Oh, do you know about Devo? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Interesting. And how many years of ministry? Just going around the block here. I'll start with Liz.
It'll be 6 in June.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
19
wow.
here.
Wow. So this summer will be 20 years for me.
Hey.
I graduated in 2004 and got hired by Southeastern. So,
Nice.
That's amazing.
yeah.
I started working full time while I was still in college in the year 2000.
Full time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, we graduated the same year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so same. So we're right after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
both
yeah.
in 6.
Any vegans among us?
That's me.
I'm trying it out.
That's true.
I'm
Okay.
trying
Are
it
you
out.
really?
I have
Yeah.
to say,
Wow.
and I've witnessed your
Yeah, I have
process.
too.
Your progress.
Really?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Great.
I've been trying. I did
Congratulations.
the salad yesterday did have a little bit of sour cream in it, and I was like, no.
So
but yeah.
when did you start and what was motivating, if I can ask?
Yeah. I started it a few weeks ago. I feel like maybe 4 weeks ago. I was just like, I want to try it out. I just want to like see how I feel with it and just focus a little bit more on like what I'm eating. And yeah, so far
Awesome.
so good. I don't know if I'll continue it because like, I don't know. I miss cheese. But
Me too.
yeah.
Every day.
How many years has it been for you, Otis?
16.
16
Wow.
years.
Right
Wow.
before
Always
my
ministry.
oldest daughter
Wow.
was born.
Pastor Otis is my goal. Well, maybe not. I don't know. 16 years, that's a long time.
Oh, snap.
16 days. 16 days.
With 0 slip-ups?
For me, yes. Yeah, 0 slip up. I would not have started it if I was worried about slip ups.
You were dedicated.
Wow.
It was a conscious decision. I was ready.
What was your motivation?
Oh, that's everything is a long story with me. I think what I will say is it was a very difficult time in my life. I felt like everything was out of control. And then all of a sudden, we're about to have our first child. And I wanted some sense of discipline in my life. And under that stress, it seemed like what I was eating was going to be the best way to try to get a little bit of sense of, I'm trying to control or get self-disciplined about something in life. And so it started like that.
Wow. Isn't it cool that we can learn new things about each other?
Yeah.
in
I
this
actually
moment?
I want a side podcast of Otis called "It's a Long Story." Kind of nice. Actually, I tune in every week.
Wow. So those are the vegans. Vegetarians in the house. That's no. Hey, for those of you who are listening, Raymond and I raised our hand, and so did Pastor Ben.
I feel like I'm
But
being
the truth
isolated.
is not in him. The truth
Everyone
is
has
not
a
in him.
part. Everyone has a partner in this. Except me.
Your partners didn't show up today.
That's true.
Yeah. Debo, I think, is vegetarian. But
right.
any meat eaters? Any meat eaters among us? Anyone?
It is I. I am he. I do. Yes. Yeah, in the process, every morning I'm vegetarian until I eat meat. And so, yeah, it
Strict
depends.
discipline.
Yeah. Today I'm a meat eater. Sorry, I'm ready. It's only 11, and I'm ready. I'm all into it.
Broken.
I'm ready to fall into my habits.
I have been here now. May will be my second year. One of the first meals I had with Pastor Ben, I don't remember if I took him to a vegetarian place or if I had some veggie, and then he had some of it, and he said to me, he looked me in the eyes with he said straight to my face, he's like, "Whoa, this is so good. I might try being a vegetarian." And I didn't know Ben well then, so I was like, "Dude, oh, that's big." So later on, he was chewing on some meat. And I looked over at his wife, and she's like, "Yeah, he wasn't telling the truth about that. She's vegetarian."
And then the next day, Pastor Ricky took me out, and he was eating fish. So I was kind of confused. I was like, "Wait, so are you a vegetarian or not?" I never understood what that was.
This podcast is not going right. Like, this is our first and last.
Truly, what the
Actually, every day
regulation
at
is.
Mamma Mia's summer salad.
Yeah, that's right.
This is not going the way I thought it was going to go. Actually, to be very clear, I'm a pescatarian, which means I do eat fish, like my Lord and Savior Jesus that Pastor Raywin preached about.
Hey, can you be Tongan and not eat fish?
That's
like
right. No, you cannot.
Islander?
No. So my grandfather was a vegetarian, and to Tongans, vegetarian means you eat fish because everyone knows fish is a plant on the island. So yeah, so if you're a vegetarian, you just ate fish.
Okay, then I can be vegetarian then too.
No. Cows and chickens don't.
We'll circle back next week and see how that's going.
Yeah. Pop back in. Yeah, tune in for that. What's the story behind creating this podcast? For those who are listening in or are wondering, why another podcast and what value will it bring to my life? What do y'all think?
Well, I remember for quite a few years. So I came in 2019, and one of our practices over the time has been for worship together as a team, looking at the text that's going to be preached that week and just talking about it. And I remember so many times where we all were sitting around the table and saying, "Hey, this should have been recorded. This was amazing. We discovered things together. It was enlightening. It was enriching. It's just so amazing to be around the conversation." So we kind of joke that we should just have a recorder right there. And it wasn't until Pastor Icky came along and basically said, "Hey, let's be serious about this. Let's actually do this thing and create it." I'm grateful for you to do that because we really have beautiful conversations. And as a preacher, I value so much getting to have that experience, to talk with others about the text, because there's things that come out in community that would never come to me if I'm just preparing my sermon on my own. With God in the Bible and the commentaries, the community and the conversations enrich the process so much.
Also, going off of what you were saying, Pastor Ewan, is that there's beauty in like studying scripture together, and I hope that it inspires others who are maybe listening to this, that like they can find a community of people, whether 2 or 3 or 1, to like study scripture together too, like dive in deep. And just because we're doing it doesn't mean you don't have to. Like, you can find community in that too. So hopefully it's an inspiration to dive in deep with other people as well.
Great, thank you.
And to be clear, this is really the beginning process of something that gets finalized along the way. So there's room for us here around this table to make mistakes. And that gives you permission as you're listening as well to be on a journey with the text and to learn and then to relearn and to grow out of. This is something that's still in formation. So, by the time you hear a sermon, it's oftentimes the final draft, and people have put it into a particular format they like, whether it's Andy Stanley's or Chris Lowry's or the 4-page format sermon styles, where you put in all your stuff. You've done the exegetical work, but here we get to talk about the beauty of the text, the challenge of the text. What are we missing? What is there? And so along the way, we're going to take detours. We're going to talk about things before we're not even close to landing the plane. And hopefully that gives you an opportunity to wrestle with it as well and revisit it and revisit it and revisit it again. And I think that's where the power of this is. So anytime you're listening in, just know this is a process, and this is the Word of God in its formation in our lives. It's not the end of the work; it's the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I like is that we don't all have the same opinion around the
Right.
table. And I love that our team has found a healthy way to share different opinions. We are able to listen to each other. We carefully share, I see it from a different point of view, or what about this? And I think all of us are enriched when we're able to have a safe space to be able to have these theological discussions that oftentimes end up splitting other people on different sides of an issue.
When you get to that final draft and you're up front and you're bringing the word to the congregation, what hopes do you have for the people? What's going on in your heart and your mind? What are you hoping for when you're during that time?
The first thought that I had was that I want people to be moved. I want people to be moved emotionally. I want them to be moved in their thinking. And what are they moved by or moved towards? And really, I believe it's God's love. That
Yeah.
God is love. How can I love better? Jesus said the greatest commandments are love God and love your neighbors yourself. And so I want people to be moved towards God and
Yeah.
towards love of neighbor.
When you approach a text, what are you listening? What are you listening for?
The word that comes to my mind is restoration. Like, when I open the Bible, when I'm reading, it's like, God, what are you saying that I can help restore the world around me and restore myself? Whether it's a story about something super random in the Old Testament, or it's Jesus moving around, or it's a letter from Paul, or, like, what is the calling here for me to act, to restore around me and myself?
I remember reading something from Matt Redman, the guy that writes
Yep.
all the
Music.
Christian worship songs, and he talked about two words that were meaningful to him: revelation and response. Revelation and response, and he had them in that order. And he was saying something about how part of the experience when you're trying to be aware of what God may be saying to you, or you're looking through the scripture, is you're looking for a revelation from God. You're hoping that God will speak in a way that is clear to you. And then when you have become aware, when you have received that revelation, then you're seeking for, what is my response to this? So I think that probably encapsulates how I read, or what I'm looking for, or as I'm listening, what is God revealing to me in this, and then how will I respond, and then try to put that in a message.
I often am reading and looking for what surprises me, because too often I feel like I know what the text says. I read it before. I've read aspects of it, so I'm looking for what surprises me, and that has to do with what stands out, what questions do I have about that, what seems out of place, and those aspects.
All of you are ministers and take the pulpit and do so very well. You know how it gets. You get into a rut or a rhythm, and you've read this text, or you've preached this text so often that it's almost like second nature for you to go right to what you know. And so I always ask, what am I missing here? What is it that and I hate getting stuck in that place where I'm like, I don't see it. Like, that is that's why this is so good. Because then when you weigh in, or when I hear from Elizabeth, or when I hear from Otis, or I hear from Pastor Steve, who always has a lot to say about everything. But when you hear from me, you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. So kind of like the surprise, I suppose, right? But for me, it's the idea that I'm missing something, and I can't quite see it from my one angle. As we close out today, I'd like to go around the table and just ask for final thoughts, what you take away from this morning and our time together. I'm going to start with Ben to my right, and we'll go all the way back around.
Wow, we have a great group. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited. I think it's great that we have a team that we can wrestle together and not have it all figured out, and all come from different backgrounds and education, etc., and still feel safe to share our thoughts. I think there's some spaces where maybe only the lead pastor can talk, or only the person with the most education, highest education, can speak. But it doesn't feel that way. I feel like all of our takes are valuable, and so I'm excited.
I think what I like about the concept behind this podcast, Past the Pulpit, is that spirituality happens in community. And so it's not just one person's perspective or idea that matters, whoever's the loudest or whoever has the most convincing argument. It's, are we all sensing the same thing? Do we all feel like this is where God is leading or not?
Right.
And I like that part of it. I think the other part that I like, reminds me of the book of Acts. It has a story of these people called the Bereans in this town where the missionaries, Paul, they would come to preach, and then they would all go home and check in the scriptures themselves to see if, what this is all about. And I like this idea of having our congregation, our listeners, get involved in themselves, listening to the sermon, but then going back and thinking about it some more and looking at it some more and seeing if they're seeing the same thing. And then finally, just as preachers and pastors, there's so much on the cutting floor. By the time you get up there to preach, you've left 50% of what you prepared back on the computer that didn't make it onto the thing. But all of it is important. All of it influenced your thinking for what you actually delivered, but you can't say it all in 20 minutes. And this gives us an opportunity to come back and revisit some of those things, the context that helped us prepare those messages.
I am struck by the power of community, and that being together with a diverse group of people who like each other and value each other and want to learn more about each other and want to learn more about God together is a powerful experience. And I would encourage you, like Pastor Elizabeth shared, this can also, this doesn't have to just be experience you can listen in on. It can be experience you can have for yourself as well, in community with the people that are around you.
For myself, it feels like an experiment that we get to do together, that is in flux, that is forming as we go, where we're learning, we're experiencing, and we're hearing different angles. It's a work that is not yet finished. And I love the way that it invites all of you listeners into that process, because the work of understanding God and living out God's will is a work that's never a finished work. It's a work that's always in process.
I think one of my favorite things is the opportunity to have people engage in the conversation, but also see that, as everyone has said already, that you can come to a table with different backgrounds, with different perspectives, with different views, and mutually respect each other and leave the table with a common goal of still spreading God's love. And I think that's what we try to do every single time we sit around the table, is we come together, we respect each other's viewpoints and see the different perspectives that allows us to learn in our growing of our relationship with God, and then we leave and go do the work. And hopefully it's an empowerment for each of those who are listening to join in the conversation. Like when you see us, join in on the conversation. Like, I want to hear your perspectives too, but also let's mutually respect each other and go do the work.
Welcome to episode 1. If you're listening, we've already dropped episode 2 to 4. That is part of our sermon series from the House on Fire. Every one of these podcasts will be a conversation around a text or a passage that we've preached on or that we are going to preach on. So you can easily find these sermons right online on the YouTube channel for our La Sierra University Church. And that way you can see what the final cut looks like compared to the conversational pieces that we have here. You're invited to just come along with us. It's going to be an amazing journey as we move past the pulpit. All right, friends, we'll see you in the next few episodes, starting with episode 2, House on Fire series. Be well.
Be well.
Be well.